Teflex produces specialized medical products using the recently patented Teflex. This is a compound that's special because its rate of degradation in the body can be precisely controlled. It's not degraded by stomach acid or intestinal enzymes, and it diffuses quickly into the bloodstream. And you can get a precise rate of degradation in the body by the way in which you formulate the compound. Teflex has a wide range of medical uses and may potentially revolutionize the administration of drugs. Many drugs could be mixed with raw Teflex and hardened to form tablets. And the tablets, but not the Teflex, would then dissolve in the intestine and be absorbed into the bloodstream at predictable rates. 2 years ago, Midland Pharmaceutical Company struck a deal with Teflex. Midland's a large company that has successfully marketed numerous new drugs over the past decade. 2 years ago, it patented a drug called Renaid. Renaid will prevent or at least moderate damage to kidneys caused by high blood pressure. Unfortunately, Renaid has two major drawbacks. It's degraded by the enzymes and acids in the stomach and therefore has to be injected. Secondly, the half-life, the length of time it takes for 1/2 the molecules of a material to degrade, of Renaid in the bloodstream is very short, only a few minutes. It must therefore be given in multiple daily doses through injections. In an unusual move, the National Science Institute, I made it up, a well-respected nonprofit scientific organization based in Washington, D.C., has invited 5 organizations to discuss the Renaid situation. So this neutral group is inviting 5 groups to come and talk. Those who have agreed to come include 3 representatives of consumer organizations with substantial expertise in medical and pharmacological issues, as well as representatives of Midland and Teflex. The president of Midland will attend, along with counsel, and the chief scientist from Teflex will attend. Okay? So what's going to happen is we're going to now hand out confidential instructions so you know which of the 6 roles, there's 2 from Midland and there's 5 others, which of the 6 roles you'll be playing at your table. And my suggestion is just deal out these different colored sheets of paper as they come, and 3 of you will be consumers, and 1 of you will be the Midland president, and 1 will be the Midland CEO, and 1 will be the chief scientist for Teflex. And what I'm going to do is you have to think for a minute about this. We're going to send you off to talk with the people who have the same role as you at another table, right? This is like meeting your alter ego in real life and getting to think out loud about what you're going to do before you do it. Now, so we're going to send everybody with 1 colored paper to a table where they're going to meet with people who have the same role, and you're going to give you about 15 minutes to think about how you're going to play this when you come back to the table you're at now where you're the only one in that role. So we're going to give you 15 minutes to prepare in same role meetings. And in a second, we'll have you move to the tables indicated on the screen up there, depending on the colored sheet of paper that you have. You don't have to reach agreement at this same role meeting. It's just a chance to think out loud with somebody who's got the same problem as you do coming up. You'll have an hour overall when you come back to the table with all 6 of you to see what you can work out. How will this informal meeting respond to growing public concern about the availability of Renaid? There's a crisis here. How will these organizations, the 5 organizations, handle their conflicting interests? Will you be able to think of something you can do together? Will the consumer groups think of something they want to do, but the industry people won't respond? What will happen at the end of this hour in terms of what you would come out and say to the public, if anything, that the 6 of you agree upon? And how should scientific or factual matters be handled in the context of this public debate, to the extent that scientific or technical issues turn out to be important, do you have an idea about that that the 6 of you can agree upon? So you may get nowhere, the meeting may explode, or you may get somewhere and agree on something, or you may just agree to meet again. I don't know what's going to happen, and I assume different things will happen. And at the end of the hour, we'll break for lunch, and then when we come back from lunch, we'll debrief the whole group and see what the outcomes were and what we can learn from that. Okay? So the first thing that happens is you make sure you keep your confidential instructions confidential, right? There's no way in real life to go up to someone and say, you're right, but it says here on my paper I have to disagree with you, okay? So this is for you. It's not to show to the other side in order to convince them that you're right about what you're saying. Confidential means don't show it to the others. Take your confidential instructions with you, because someone else is going to be sitting at your table for a moment. Take 15 minutes, I'll ring a gong or something and then bring you back, and when you get back, then you may want to have these caucuses briefly, and then you're all face to face, and you'll have 60 minutes before we go to lunch to see what you can work out. Okay? You might want to think about the 6 principles that I talked about all morning. That's up to you. Get what you can out of this session. You have only a few more minutes together. Okay, it's time, folks, to send you back to your table with whatever strategy you've cooked up. And once you get to the table, you're in roll. You should be in roll when you arrive at the table. So don't be surprised if somebody accosts you in your role. Remember, you may want to have a caucus for a few minutes. Midland President, Midland Council may want to meet. Consumers may want to meet briefly before you start the meeting.
I'm Jeff Ansell from NEWS. Who here is the president of Midland Pharmaceuticals? Is it you, sir? Please stand up, sir. Why is your company killing people?
Well, we're not killing people at all.
Well, the fact is you're keeping this medication off the marketplace. Is it because of greed?
No, not at all. We're just trying to work this out to bring the best solution for our market and our companies involved.
Well, what's the problem? Why isn't this drug in the marketplace? Is this funny to you, sir?
No, it's not.
Please look at me. Why is this drug not available? What is the reason?
There are some issues concerning the production. There is a production that it has already been done, and it cannot be tested because it implies to destruct the whole batch. So we're working out to see what we can do in the best interest of all.
NEWS has learned that the batch of Teflex has been tampered with. When did you find out about this?
Today.
Oh, this is funny. And how do you feel about being told about this today, considering it's been a situation festering for months?
Very bad. Our company feels totally surprised why Teflex waited all this time to bring this up, while we have invested millions of money to get this product for the consumers because they really need it.
Were you misled?
Misled by whom? By Teflex?
By Teflex. Were you did Teflex lie to you?
They may have lied to us. All the time.
Who here is the scientist from Teflex? Why have you lied?
We have not lied. We've been working on our process, determining the credibility of our product. We are very concerned. A concern was raised within the company.
Why didn't you tell your partners?
At this point, we were investigating internally to determine what those problems might have been, and then we were going to move forward with whatever solutions we might need to seek.
So you're part of the cover-up.
Absolutely not. We're trying to be part of the solution. We want to work with all the consumer groups represented as well as the company to ensure that we get this drug out as soon as possible and as safe as possible.
Mr. President, do you trust your colleagues at Teflex after the way they kept this important information from you?
Not really, and for us it's very important. We have mentioned it before that we have been here in this meeting giving the face to the consumers that we want to bring this product out, but we haven't seen the same interest from their side.
From whose side?
Teflex.
Because they're liars at Teflex.
Yes.
Okay, who here is with the Hypertension Association? Do you feel that because African Americans are mostly the ones who suffer this ailment, that racism could be involved?
I don't think it's a question of that. I think it's doing what's best for everyone who's going to benefit from this drug, basically.
What, have they paid you off? I'm asking if racism is involved.
No, what I'm saying here is we're just trying to find a solution that gets this very powerful and valuable drug out to the people who need it.
Well, they certainly had an impression on this fella. Do you agree? Do you think racism, Mr. Consumer, do you think racism might be a factor?
I think it's profit and greed. We've sat here this morning and talked to these individuals from this company, and they have absolutely given us bunk on information relative to the profit making. The biggest problem we have with it, and the reason we see they're profit motivated, is simply this, is that actually Public Money already funded this research for this drug. And this poor management team over here is just sitting here giving us a bunch of excuses. It's a delayed caused by poor management and leadership, and I'm telling you, they need to get the drug out.
Will you call for a boycott of the products made by these companies?
Absolutely. Not only a boycott, but we're going to go to Congress tomorrow, and we're going to align the citizens behind this issue, and we're going to get congressmen behind us, and we're going to get this thing out on the market. Why we're sitting here right now, I don't know how many people have died.
There you have it, anger and outrage aimed at Midland and Teflex, which continue to deny wrongdoing while people in communities everywhere continue to suffer and in some cases die. I'm Jeff Ansell, NEWS.
We have a second agenda in this particular course in which we're teaching Teflex. One is, the main objective, which I've already said, is to teach people this new framework for dealing with an angry public and to give them a chance to try it out. But the second agenda, because many of these people come from a public relations background, that's why they come to the course, because they're feeling ineffective using a public relations approach to deal with angry folks. So they want to learn this mutual gains approach. Having learned it, they're still media people. And what they always ask is, what is the connection between this mutual gains approach and the media? Because the media aren't going to support this mutual gains activity. They're going to try to make a conflict where there isn't one, so they have a story to report. How does this work? So we want to teach something about how you should interact with the media if you're in a mutual gains effort trying to deal with an angry public. So Jeff, who is an award-winning investigative journalist from Canada, knows how, in just a few minutes, to come into a situation, behave the way an investigative reporter would, demand that people answer his questions, and then what he does is he takes that footage, he goes back to the studio, and he does what he did when he was an investigative reporter. He cuts the story. He pastes together the imagery to convey what he wants to say about the story. And as an investigative reporter, he has a lot of latitude about how he cuts and shapes what he heard. And I think if people look at the 30 seconds or 60-second story that he gets out of that several minutes of interviewing, they're going to be shocked at how he manipulates what he heard.
NEWS has learned the real reason for the delay in developing and distributing Renaid with Teflex. It appears a batch of the drug may have been tampered with, something the chief scientist of Teflex deliberately covered up, claiming his organization is conducting an internal investigation. Reacting to this deception, the president of Midland confirms they were lied to and says as a result there is a loss of trust in their relationship. According to a representative of Consumer Rights Now, profit and greed are behind the Teflex delay. Consumer groups are calling for a boycott of Teflex and Midland and pledge to take their case to Congress. I'm Jeff Ansell, NEWS.
Now, what Jeff would do afterwards, which you won't see on tape, but Jeff would teach, look, here are some principles to keep in mind in dealing with the press in these kinds of situations so that your message doesn't get hijacked the way Jeff Ansell hijacks the message of the people in this case. We spend a lot of time designing these games. It's not an accident that this game produces a certain kind of response within a certain time frame that people find useful for addressing certain kinds of prescriptive ideas, for trying them out. I've run this game 30 times, 40 times, in different cultures, at different levels. I would urge people to pick a few simulations and use them a lot and really develop their way of building off that experience so that they're completely confident that people are going to ask questions that they can handle, that they know how to roll from one thing to the other. Pick good games that are well structured, well tested, and stay with them and teach them in a lot of contexts. And I think people will be better teachers than if they say, oh, I like to try a new game every time. Well, it takes a number of tries to really perfect your way of teaching from a game. So I would urge people to be careful, to select games, try them out, stay with them, develop their capacity to work with them.